Welcome to another Marketing Strategy Management mini training module. Today's topic is 4 strategies for creating value. In an earlier module, we defined value as feeling like you got a good deal at a good price. We then said it can also be displayed as the perceived benefits relative to the price or cost. Then we delved even deeper by exploring the various elements or ingredients we can use to create value. We finally came to the conclusion that if you get it all right, where the perceived benefits outweigh the cost, you'll have created value fulfillment. If the perceived benefits don't outweigh the cost, then there is no value. Now, we basically have 4 strategies to choose from when it comes to creating value. In a moment, I'll walk you through each of them. But first, let's take a look at how you might determine the best strategy for your particular business circumstance. And for that, I want to draw your attention to the lower right corner of this graphic where it says Market Opportunity Scan. This brings us back to our old friend, the value chain. As you now know, our objective is to create value for the customer all across the chain. We can begin to figure out what it will take to do that by analyzing the market characteristics and the external forces. In another blog post, we called this a market opportunity scan. It is where the market characteristics analysis and the external forces analysis converge for creating a strategy. To illustrate this, let's go back to a time just before the University of Phoenix opened its doors in 1976. And let's look at what they saw while performing a market opportunity scan. When they did the market characteristics analysis, they identified a new form of potential demand for university-level work. The blue here represents the traditional market demand, and the red represents what they saw as the new market demand, what they called non-traditional adult students. The non-traditional students were different. Typically, they were a little older, and they had a career and other adult responsibilities that traditional students didn't necessarily have. At the same time, many of them had left school before finishing their college degrees. Others of them wanted to get started on pursuing a college degree, and still others wanted to go for an advanced degree. According to the University of Phoenix estimate at the time, there was a potential of 6 million people who fell into the non-traditional student category. During the external forces analysis, they discovered a number of other favorable factors as well. One of them had to do with the growing need for a more educated workforce in the years ahead. But perhaps the most compelling factor was the relative lack of competition. Though traditional universities typically did a good job of serving traditional students, they did not do nearly as well when it came to serving non-traditional students. So, armed with that information, we can now go back to our value proposition strategies and see how they come into play. In the first one, you pretty much maintain a comparable cost structure for the customer as compared to, say, a competitor. But then you offer greater benefits. In number 2, you keep the perceived benefits about the same, but you offer them at a lower cost to the customer. In 3, you deliver more perceived benefits at a higher cost. This typically is what you see with luxury items. I put a question mark in the value cell because it's a risky proposition. You really need to win over the customer when it comes to believing in the perceived benefits. Finally, in 4, you increase the perceived benefits and decrease the cost. This might be something like faster internet speed at a lower price, for example. So which do you think the University of Phoenix chose? I'm going to say number 1. A university education is expensive regardless of where you go. In the traditional market, you pay more at an Ivy League school than you do at a state-funded university, but the perceived benefits are also greater. So that kind of balances out. What Phoenix did was find a new market that was underserved, and it decided to focus on it. Cost probably wasn't that big of a factor as long as they remained in the ballpark. But the perceived benefits of specifically serving this student population with better customer service made the first value strategy a good bet. So, in 1976, Phoenix opened its doors and had 8 students in its first class. Today, it is approaching nearly 500,000 students. Did they make the right choice? I'll let you be the judge. If you want to read more about the University of Phoenix Market Opportunity Scan, I've put the links to that 3-part series of posts on the page below. I've also added a few other links that might be of interest. Check them out. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.